Good morning. I want my glasses for this. Nespocalypse. So, Nessie 24, pre-order of an updated version of G Squared Yo-Yo's second yo-yo, the Nessie. The Nessie 24, yeah, I know. It's really pushing 25, but that's okay. It was designed and whatnot in 24. So, pre-order, Nessie 24. First mishap in the situation. Originally Nessie 24 going to be machined at a shop in the States. That shop did another yo-yo for me and I had issues with it right before placing the order. So I decided to make the switch to a shop that is more consistent for me overall on a day-to-day basis. I feel like of getting a higher level of A grade. Fast forward a couple months, get the raws back, send them off to the anodizers. Everything's good, raws look good. Get the first batch back from the anodizer now. This is what many of you have seen on the live stream, and we'll just start discussing it. The nest depths, the plasma berries, the snozberries, those all turned out fine. There's also with them the nebula colorway. Now this was, as we'll get to, from a different order sheet because only Patreon members were able to get the nebula colorway. The other three were open to everybody. Nebula only open to Patreon members. So I'm testing the nebulas. Holy cow. Take apart one part, bounce it through 20 different pieces. They're all vibey. None of them work. Take another part, do the same thing. Test it with 20 more pieces. All vibey. At this point, I text the anodizer, and I think right when I was on stream, and he got back to me pretty quick. I said, hey, is there anything different about these nebula versus the other three colorways you did for me? He gets on the phone with me. He lets me know, hey, I did the nebulas twice in this process of prepping the parts for ano, bright dip. And that's most likely where our issue happens. So the bright dip, what it does is clean the parts to accept the ano. These parts are all blasted. They have, I guess, fractions of glass still in them. So when you get a little bit duller parts, usually it's based on what the blasting was done. So you'll notice that the depths, plasma berries, and snozberries are all a little duller or muted. They're not super bright. But he wanted the nebula colorway to be super bright, so he went ahead and dipped these twice. And in that process of it cleaning the parts and prepping for ano, it also kind of eats away a little bit of the metal. So the bearing seats were affected on the nebulas where they weren't affected on the other three. At this point in time, I go ahead and message everybody that got the nebula. Hey, nebulas are bad. I've got enough raws to cover the nebula issues. I'm going to have them done again. Single bright dip. There should be no issues, but you have the choice to switch to a unicorn fade or grab a different color if you want, if there's extra, or get a refund or a glitch, or just wait. Everybody gets back to me for the most part, and I start progressing down the line of getting ready to ship, and I announce on Monday Morning Yo-Yo that I've sent all the invoices. I start getting messages and emails. Hey, I didn't get my Nessie 24 invoice. You mentioned that you sent them all out. So I said, all right, let me double check. I start looking into it. And I had only sent out the invoices for the Patreon members. So anybody from the Patreon sheet, they were able to order all the different colorways and the nebula. From the website or the public order, when combining all the orders to get the counts, did not put them into the pivot table correctly. So I was missing all of the public orders when it came down to sending out Nessie, nest depths, snozberry, and plasma berries. Huge issue because I don't have enough raws to cover all those I missed and the nebulas. And also, I'm saying all the parts already, and I completely missed out on this section of orders. So go through the email again. Email everybody that ordered on the non-Patreon side. Hey, I messed up. This is not the anodizer. I messed this up. It's going to be a couple weeks for you to get your parts back. Or you can grab a unicorn fade or a refund. So get that all situated to get a box in the next day, which I thought was Evolutions. Turned out to be Nessie 24s. So I sent a full box of Rawls to the anodizer thinking they were evolutions. It was only the top row that were evolutions. Underneath were all my extra Nessie 24 Rawls. So now a portion of my Nessie 24 Rawls were used for colorways I had selected for the evolution. And now I've come into this issue of I'm not going to have Rawls for everybody that I missed on the invoice and all the Nebula reruns. So what do? Luckily, this is all during the Week of Wonder, so I bought myself some time to really get all the Nebulas tested. And Saturday and Sunday, through about 8 hours of trial and error, and I estimate I tested like 1,250 to 1,400 different combinations. I was able to get some smooth Nebula 24 Nessies. Let's go, saving the day. That was the best. Week of Wonders was incredible, but fixing those Nebulas, not because I was losing out on revenue from bad parts, more so that I didn't have to cross this bridge of holy cow, I don't even have Rawls to fix my mistakes. Now the Nebulas invoices have gone out. There was enough Nebulas eventually of A grades for everybody that ordered one, minus somebody switched to a unicorn fade and somebody switched to a glitch and a couple refunds. It worked out almost perfectly. So the Nespocalypse, the Nessie Nightmare, what a roller coaster ride. So where we're at right now, today I am making canisters, boxing orders. I've invoiced everybody from the Patreon side for the 3 main colors plus the Nebula, so all those can get out of here. If you switched over to a unicorn fade, that can also get out of here. I will then have the exact amount of extra snozberries, nest depths, and plasma berries. I will invoice from the top of my list down those extras to the public orders, and then I will place the order for the anodizing this week of the ones that I missed. So those will be back in a couple weeks. And it seems we're going to be good to go. Now there will be some slight color variation between each batch because of the bright dip situation. So overall, I don't necessarily have a preference. I like the difference you get with that little bit of mutated color. I mean, specifically on the snozberries that I talked about a lot on stream. It represents that old school bouncy ball, and it really hit the mark for the original snozberries that were not a super bright, vibrant colorway. It was just so different, a little bit muted, and just like I said, the old school bouncy ball colorway. And the ones that did get bright dip twice, that were supposed to be evolutions, ended up being Nessie 24 snozberries. You could tell a clear difference between the brightness and the original run. So we'll have that probably a little bit between the other nest depths and plasma berries as well. But overall, we're okay. The crisis is mostly averted. Now, what do I do about the mistake? Everybody that ordered a Nessie 24, similar to the little mishap with the spikes on the Mini Banshee, those customers were able to get in on a pre-order for the Mini Covey. That's the only way it was sold outside of customs. So I reached out to all the Nessie 24 pre-orders and let them know, hey, what are you most interested in an exclusive yo-yo design for this mishap? You can have access to options were stainless steel, titanium, or mini Nessie. I have not tallied the votes, so you have like another day to get your vote in on that email if you haven't yet, and then I'll get to designing and set that up. But something exclusive for the mishaps, mostly on my end, a little bit on the anodizers. The other silver lining that comes out of this is I think a lot of the issues I was having with customs were coming from the double dipping, and that might be why. I thought it was because I didn't have enough halves to swap in and out. I was getting a lot of glitches. I think it's because they're getting dipped twice, so it's affecting the bearing seat. So that's a little bit of the silver lining, is to figure that out nicely. We will be messing with other blast size media again to hopefully find out what works the best for the bright dip now. Other silver lining is now it might not be the machine shop that I was having issues with, and it was just a double dip issue also on the tsunami that I got from a different machine shop. So if that's the case, that'll be a good solution to have. That it wasn't a machining issue, it was an anodizing issue for sure. So we'll be able to test that out soon, and maybe those two good things come from this bad situation. But yeah, that was roller coaster. Thanks for watching. That's the Nessie 24. I'm excited for you guys to get this. This is the perfect modernization of the Nessie. This is it's fantastic. If you've played the Nessie or not, if you played the Nessie, you're going to love it the way it is the Nessie again, but just updated and better, modernized. And if you haven't played the Nessie, this characterizes the original Nessie very, very well. So yeah, I'm excited for it. Thanks for sticking with me, guys.